Everyone, I'm so excited to be with Angira Sceusi. We've been together, Angira, I don't know how many years. It's been wonderful to see how Angira has risen in impact and leadership. She's currently the executive director of redefinED Atlanta. It's a local education nonprofit, and it focuses on ensuring that every student in Atlanta can attend a great K-12 public school. Angira has had this incredible career. She's been one of the founding members of this organization, as well as in different organizations like Yes Prep. And she actually, if you go back, even had a corporate career at the Royal Bank of Canada at the US Oil and Gas Administration business. I mean, Angira, you covered it all. Angira also has a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from Carnegie Mellon. She also has a master's degree in educational leadership from Broad, which is at Yale. This is where I got to meet Angira, and it's so awesome to celebrate, Angira, that you have been named to Atlanta's top leader list recently, to the 2025 Atlanta 500 and to the 2026 class of Leadership Atlanta. Congrats, Angira. So excited for our conversation and for you to share your story.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
And Garrett, we always ask this question about identity, racial identity. How do you identify, and how has that shaped you in your career?
Yeah, I would say I probably first and foremost identify as a third culture kid and an immigrant in the US. So I am Indian by descent, but I spent most of my childhood in Hong Kong. And then I came here at 16 for boarding school and have been here since. So that third culture kid thing is very, very relevant. It's this idea of basically spending your developmental years outside of your parents' culture and how that impacts you and kind of influences how you grow up. So as a third culture kid, not really growing up in the United States, I think I would say I grew up really thinking of America as this land of opportunity where anything is possible. I thought a lot about class and race in Asia, but I didn't really give any consideration to it in the United States until I was much older. Um, and as I got older, I would tell you what I see in terms of like race and class and ability, those same tensions and those same kind of experiences that exist everywhere, but with different flavors in some way.
And Garrett, you grew up in Hong Kong, and your parents are so what would you say, Indian, right? So you had
Yeah.
this cultural background. You're living in Hong Kong, you moved to the US when you're 16, and it's a boarding school. So I imagine you're on your own, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're immersed into American culture at 16 when all the teen mean girls, all of that happens.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, and now you're looking back, right? We're looking back together at this upbringing and how it shaped you, and realizing that there's similarities, that regardless of the context, there's both racism and classism, and imagine sexism too.
Absolutely.
And so I wonder, as a third culture kid, what can we like these inequities, that the work that you're doing, the work you've done throughout your life, what about your experience has also shown the uniqueness maybe of American context, considering that there is a theme of inequity
Yeah.
everywhere? What is unique, would you say, about this American
Yeah.
land of opportunity? Yet, when you look inside, there's darkness. What would you
Absolutely.
say about that?
Yeah. I think you bring up a great point. I think what feels different about the American story is that we pretend that it's not us. We pretend that race, class, gender, ability don't have the impact that it really does have in society. Um, we we tell ourselves this story of this land of opportunity. And in reality, we have a lot of structural and systemic things that don't make it a land of opportunity for everyone. But we kind of put our blinders on as a society and try to say that's not true a lot. And working in the education space, you very clearly see, no, we can't be a land of opportunity when we have um, large swaths of our community in schools where our reading proficiency is 5%. We're not creating opportunity for our children. We're doing a disservice to them.
And Garrett, you and I have shared stories coming from Asian backgrounds of this land of opportunity looking to the US. And our parents, shared that story with us. My parents moved here, had me here
Yeah,
to say, we did it for you to have this land of opportunity. And now go forth, right? The gold
yeah,
is waiting. I want to name it because for me personally, it took a while to realize that it wasn't the land of opportunity, even as I was experiencing, I don't even know it's microaggressions, full on, what are you doing here, right? Like, where are you from? And when you say Stanford, do you mean Stamford? Like, you don't really mean Stanford. So
yeah.
I guess for you, was there a moment when you thought to yourself, Mama, Dada, this is not, it's not as you shared it with me. It's actually not the land of opportunity. Was this something in terms of an experience, maybe at boarding school or somewhere else where you were just like, wow, this is not what this is not what I thought.
Yeah. That's such an excellent question. I would say for myself, I was probably late to recognizing that. I know you named kind of for yourself. If I think back through that boarding school experience, college onwards, there were 100% were there microaggressions? Absolutely. I just sort of put blinders on and ignored them. I saw things occur with my friends. Like one of my closest friends in boarding school was Puerto Rican. Another close friend was Black. I saw things, but it was in this like little microcosm bubble. And so I didn't really give it the weight of everything around it. I would say for myself, the real kind of glass shattering moment of something's not okay for me came about a decade into my career on Wall Street. I was doing some volunteer work and I was volunteering at Big Brothers Big Sisters at the time as a big sister. That for me was probably a very transformational experience. I was a big sister to a little. This little of mine, she was zoned to one of the lowest performing schools in Houston. And I don't think I understood the educational discrepancies that existed in America until I kind of saw it firsthand through her experience. She was this incredibly bright little girl. She lived with her grandmother. She had all the potential in the world. And every single month, every single year, this ceiling was being put on her, and that ceiling was getting lower and lower and lower. And this girl had all the light in the world. There was nothing about her that said she shouldn't have opportunity, she shouldn't have access to the exact same things that every other child has, but for the circumstances that she was growing up in. And that made me realize, like, oh, all of these things kind of came crashing down at once for me. So that little girl was Black. She was in this lower income school. She had an incarcerated parent. How did that play out in her experience? Her grandmother was incredible, but her grandmother worked a lot to try to support her. Like things that were, you started to see the impact, like the lack of economic resource impacted her in these different ways. Her race impacted her in these ways. Like the fact that she had an incarcerated parent impacted her in these other ways. And all of that kind of was coming together in a way that this incredible child, who through no fault of her own, had a ceiling that was being put on her. And I didn't think that that was possible in America. I was honestly blind. I shouldn't have been, but I was. And for me, that was really that kind of like glass shattering moment of this isn't okay. And then I thought about just my own kind of access and privilege. I've been very lucky with parents who've always supported me, always um, kind of looked out for, like, been able to and had the knowledge and the expertise to kind of guide me into things that would help support me in whatever career it was I chose. And it made me realize that if I've been given all this privilege and opportunity, like, what is my role in kind of like paying that back? Like, what is my role when I've had this thrust upon me? Because it can't just end with me. Like, it has to be true for others.
I love that story so much, Angira, and I'm thinking to this parallel of your little, and I was also a big sister, so I
Yeah.
appreciate your calling of little and bigs, and how that moved you to say I actually want different for not just me but for all people. I want to take this concept, Angira, of this land of opportunity, and we were talking about education, and let's bring it into the work world. I
Uh,
don't know about you, but I thought that you work hard, right, Angira? We care, we both care. We have
yeah.
stories, tearjerker stories about why we care, and yet there are also ceilings that women of color face. Was there a moment or realization of, wow, this is different than I expected? Maybe a myth or something that had you
Yeah.
reconsider. This is not what I thought. Maybe not fully the land of opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Um, I definitely can tell you, I'm thinking back to, so I studied information systems in college, and perhaps this is much more a gender thing. When I studied information systems in college, there was maybe 15 women in my program and 100 plus men in the program. I noticed it, and I felt a incredible sense of like, well, I need to prove my worth here, if that makes sense. Um, not to say that someone else didn't feel that way, but I felt especially so. I have to prove that I belong here. I have to, like, I'm setting an example, not just for myself, but for the women that are coming behind me, right? And I think that oftentimes, especially as an Asian woman in spaces that don't have a lot of Asian women in them, that was true when I was in university studying information systems. That was true when I went to the trading floor. A trading floor is not notoriously a environment that is like lots of Asian women are in there, right? And so I felt what I would call this added pressure of, it wasn't just about myself. It was about, like, I felt like I was representing what came after me. And that is undue pressure that I don't think anyone should have to put on themselves. And I didn't recognize it at the time. This is sort of I've gotten older, and oh yeah, I did put that on myself. And I felt this huge sense of obligation when new analysts came in to try to say, hey, I need their path to be easier than mine is.
So, Angira, you have this sense of obligation to help make not just the education experiences of all children, right, equitable,
Yeah.
but also the staff, the team, the workers who come after you. These are big, big goals. And so, did you have the goal to be sitting in this seat as executive director, leading this organization, or just leading an organization? Was that
Yeah.
part of your plan?
No, it was absolutely not part of my plan. I know we know each other outside of this podcast. I can very honestly say I've never aspired to be the CEO or to run the thing. I think if I aspired to be like in a chief of staff type role, which is what I did before. I think of it as the person behind the scenes doing the work. That is what I love to do. I don't see myself as a leader or the face of the org, which, I'm having to ask myself and really reflect on, well, why not? There's no reason I shouldn't, right? And so, being super vulnerable. Yeah, I've had to ask that question. Why don't I see myself that way? Why don't I see myself being in the spotlight? Um, if I'm honest, like, there is a small part of my brain that holds some real estate with some imposter syndrome in there. And I know it doesn't belong there. And I think that one of the ways that this idea of like, how does, race, class, gender, all of that, how does that play when you have when you've worked so hard to make it to where you are, you still hold that there, right? Like when you are one of the 15 women in an information systems program, you feel this need to prove yourself, right? So even now it's that idea, and I know it doesn't belong there. If I can intellectually tell you, oh, that doesn't make sense, and yet it can creep up in unexpected ways. So it becomes really important to recognize that and then reflect on it, ask yourself the tough questions, and kind of say, okay, wait, no, I can do this anyway.
Okay, I want to map it out because
Yeah.
you've got the credentials. I mean, Angira, you've
Yeah.
got Wall Street, you've got boarding school to all these Ivy League, and not only that, but in your very tough majors, you're successful in your career, yet it never was something that you aspired to do, even though you wanted to change the
Uh,
education for all students in the country, and even though you wanted to change the pathways for all women, for people of color afterwards. But yet, Akira, it
I
never
know.
dawned on you, well, then obviously I should take up that role because that will help me to get my broader goals. I want to just put that together. You're so smart. And then there's that nagging feeling, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
I want to make a difference. I don't want that top role. I've now got that top role. And yet there's this nagging little, devil on your shoulder. So you said three things, right? It's to recognize, to ask questions, and then to have, like, actually walk me through what those three steps mean for you. What do you recognize? What are you asking yourself? What do you answer for those questions?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think a couple things. I think the biggest thing that I found myself doing in those moments of that nagging kind of question, I kind of like repeat a mantra to myself now. It's like, I am enough, I am worthy, right? Like that in itself, right? I don't think that women and women of color hear that for themselves enough or say that to themselves enough. And that is true for every single one, right? And so when I find myself doubting myself, putting that in there, I am enough, I am worthy. So I'm deep down an introvert. I don't love the spotlight, even if it is important to be in the spotlight, but reminding myself I am enough, I am worthy helps me kind of say, well, no, I need to be in the spotlight because I care about this thing and I need to say this thing I care about.
Okay, let's talk about that because
Yeah.
you had said, I didn't aspire to be CEO. I'm going to practice my mantra. And then you laid on top of it, I'm an introvert
Yeah.
and I've got to be in the spotlight to actually further my mission. So how does this work? And you're the face of the organization, which is also something you said you're not particularly excited about. How does one, if I were to say to you, Angira, I'm similar. I'm also introverted. I don't
Yeah.
want to be the face. I really like the back behind the scenes. I am so good at that. And yet I need to. What would you tell me to do so that I can step up and be the face and
Yeah.
deliver for the impact that I want? What would your advice be?
I think I would say a couple things. I think, well, first, the biggest one, I think underneath the I don't see myself as the face of it. I don't see myself in the spotlight. There's a little bit of like self-doubt there, right? So hence it is important to name that you are enough, you are worthy. That's number one. Number two, I think that why don't you see yourself as why don't you want to be the face or why don't you want to be in that spotlight? I think there's a couple different things, right? Like everyone has their natural tendencies, and I think showing up as your authentic self and the leader that you are is important. I'm never going to be the showman. That's not who I am, but I can show up as how I show up, which is I'm a pretty cerebral person who thinks deeply. And so when I show up, that's how I have to show up. I think that we oftentimes create an archetype of what a leader should look like and how they should be. And you think of that person being the preach from the mountaintop kind of person. That's not who I am. And so reminding myself that I'm enough, I'm worthy becomes important because I can be in the spotlight as myself. And that's like the real key here. And if I'm in the spotlight as myself, it's okay. I can be introverted. I can say I need time to myself. All of that's okay. But you got to like remind yourself that how you are is enough. And the ideas that you have are important. You're in your seat because you've got important ideas and important things you need to do.
I love that. Angira, the grounding force is I'm enough, I'm worthy, therefore the rest happens.
Yeah.
And when in doubt, because we will all have doubts, we just come back to our mantra. So I so appreciate that. It is simple, yet groundbreaking, right?
Yeah.
And that we hope that not just you and me, but others too will take on this groundbreaking move, which we don't hear from really
To
anybody,
to be
honestly.
honest, I actually got this from years ago. You led a boss mamas training. I don't you remember? And
Yes,
you
I
made us all
do.
come up with our own like daily mantra.
Yes,
That's where I got this from.
I love it, Angira. That makes me
Yeah.
so happy. It truly is. I mean, the things we talk about, the things we preach as this is effective, these are things that we we can learn from each other, and I appreciate it because it will carry us forward. And I have talked with not just clients about this, but my own children,
Yeah.
because if we don't source it ourselves, we really can't expect media, teachers, anyone to
Well,
give it to us.
yeah.
So we are our best feeder. So thanks for sharing that, Gira. It makes me so happy. With that, are you ready for lightning round questions?
Oh my gosh, yes. I love it.
Okay, Angira, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate. All day chocolate.
Cooking or takeout?
Takeout. I do not like to cook.
Climb a mountain or jump from a plane?
Climb a mountain. I'm risk averse, so jumping out of a plane would terrify me.
How do you rate your karaoke skills on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Mariah Carey?
Probably a one. I cannot hold a tune. It's pretty comical how bad I am. Probably made funnier by the fact that my youngest is a singer.
What's a good book you've read or a recent book you've read?
Yeah, I just finished a great book. It's called Free Food for Millionaires.
Hmm.
It's by, oh my goodness, who's it by? Minjin Lee, I think.
Mhm.
It is a phenomenal book about a Korean American young woman and kind of her journey, and it really fleshes out so many different characters so completely in this great microcosm and it explores race and class and gender and all of these other things in through the lens of these different characters, and it makes them really authentic and whole, like they are unique individuals, not because they are Korean or Korean American. They are unique individuals because they are unique individuals, and some of their experience is shaped by being Korean American.
Love it. What is a favorite way to practice self-care?
I love reading. Like I love reading fiction. So I like curling up with a book and reading or taking a walk with Audible, which to me is like my healthy version of reading because I'm still listening to a book, but I'm taking a walk with it.
What's your definition of a boss mama?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think I think of a boss mama as a leader who's really comfortable in her own skin. So she's able to inspire others. She's able to really own her power. And I don't think of a boss mama as like work-life balance. I think of it as a woman who really integrates her life. So she's got motherhood as like integrated with her work, with other parts of her life. Um, and I think that I think others might think boss mama is like this person who has everything handled, and that's not really what I think of it as. I think of it as like it's a person who deep down knows how to prioritize because nobody can do everything, right? So it's a person who knows how to prioritize, who knows how to trust others. to take things on, to lead, and then probably most importantly, also knows how to ask for help. Like, is okay asking for help.
So beautiful. Angira, this is so connected to our Boss Mamas course because, as you mentioned earlier, that the mantra is the first class, right? Like, how do you ground yourself when things get
Yeah.
unsteady? And there's a ton of practices that we practice together, and you're really showing up. And I'm so proud to know you. What would you say beyond the mantra were some takeaways that you got from the class?
Yeah, I would say definitely, the mantra is the thing I practice to this day. Like that has probably been the most transformative thing. And the other thing that I found unbelievably valuable was the morning routine. And so one of the things that Boss Mamas talked a lot about is like being really intentional in that short little morning routine and how that sets the stage for the rest of your day. And so for me, I no longer journal and like put in I don't actually like explicitly write out, here's what I'm grateful for. I'm lazy and do not enjoy handwriting things out or putting it in, but I take 5 minutes every morning, just quiet time to think about what am I grateful for the day before? What am I looking forward to in this day? And that really sets me up in the right mind space to tackle like every day that comes ahead, like the challenges, the good stuff, all of it.
Thanks for stressing that because often on Miro we think, oh, it's got to be some complex routine. It's got to be perfect. In actuality, some core, very short moves
Yeah.
can make a huge difference. So I'm so happy you're practicing these things that we learned together.
Yeah.
Okay, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, good question. I would probably say define success on your own terms. I think I spent a lot of my younger years um, thinking I was supposed to aspire for this thing or that thing. And that thing might have been title, money, what others might define as success. And it took me a long time to realize that at the end of the day, like I am most proud for what I have defined as my own version of success. And my own version of success doesn't have anything to do with a corporate ladder.
What is it? I have to ask you, Angira, what is your definition of success?
Yeah, I think my deep down definition of success is I want to create opportunity for others, right? And so for me, that's how I'm trying to define my success. So a lot of the work that I do in my day-to-day job, like I believe education is a creator of opportunity for others. And so the reason I work so hard in creating access to great public schools is I think of that as my way of systemically trying to create opportunity for others. Had I thought about as a 20-year-old, if you had asked me what was success, I would have told you it was becoming a managing director at like the bank I was going to go work at. And that is not at all where it is for me.
Beautiful. Where can we find you? LinkedIn, anywhere else?
I would say LinkedIn. I am not I'm not really on social media all that much, but I'm definitely on LinkedIn, so that would definitely be the best place.
And last question, do you have a final ask, recommendation, parting thoughts to share?
I would really recommend if there's only one thing you do or one thing a woman of color takes away from this, it is like creating that short mantra to tell yourself and to be able to tell yourself in the morning, whenever you are nervous, whenever that thing is. Mine is I'm enough, I'm worthy. I hope yours is something similar because every single woman in this work is enough and they are worthy.
Angira, thank you so much for sharing your story and being so open about real practices that get at that imposter syndrome. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.